So here we have a study, the automation trap, unpacking the consequences of over-reliance on AI in education and its hidden costs. This is a common kind of argument that I hear about using AI to learn because there's some kind of supposed benefit of using AI to enhance your learning ability, especially in terms of finding information and learning about different topics. So there are two studies that we're going to go over, and we're just going to kind of read the abstracts and a few bits and pieces, and you'll see that the concept of learning as studied in universities and classrooms, which should be you should be able to point to universities and classrooms and show a overwhelming amount of benefit to using AI in learning. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. The growing presence of artificial intelligence in classrooms, influence on students' thinking, learning, and interaction deserves close scrutiny, yada, yada, yada. Excessive reliance on AI may weaken essential cognitive skills, including critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, which are crucial for academic and professional success. Moreover, diminished human interaction with teachers and peers threatens the human aspect of education. This chapter critically examines the risks of AI over-reliance, emphasizing its long-term consequences on student development. Left unchecked, this dependency may lead to surface-level learning and hinder the cultivation of independent thought. The normalization of AI-generated outputs may also blur the line between authentic learning and algorithmic convenience. It highlights the shift from AI as a supportive tool to a potential source of dependency and advocates for a more balanced, human-centric integration of technology in and education. So as they continue the study, what they essentially discover is in the abstract, but they go a little bit deeper. And what they find is that people turn, like especially students, they turn to AI as a coping mechanism. Now, what's fascinating about this is that people who are proponents of AI also turn to AI as a coping mechanism. When you don't know the answer to a problem in code, you cope, and that cope is reflected by your use of AI because you're too stupid to go find the answer, and so you decide you're going to make yourself even more stupid, and you're going to go use AI to give you that answer. And then you become reliant on it so that every time you're too stupid to find an answer to code, you're going to go to the even more stupid AI, and you're going to feel all nice and comfy because the AI gives you the answer, and before you know it, you are now drooling in a white padded room because you're too stupid to take care of yourself. However, the slippery slope begins with the idea that students undergo a lot of pressure to achieve academic performance levels and, write essays and come up with, answers to problems that their teachers give them. And so they reach to AI because they see it as a temporary solution to a problem that they cannot otherwise deal with themselves. The consequences of that, well, we'll get into a little bit more of the consequences, but in particular, this study talks about the reliance and how it can weaken students' problem-solving and creativity skills. They cite a study. It can disrupt their cognitive flexibility, their ability to adapt and generate new solutions in unfamiliar situations. Here's my study. Students engage in surface-level learning, accepting AI outputs without critical evaluation, which discourages deep research and source credibility assessment. Beyond cognitive decline, AI dependency raises ethical concerns like open source, Baby Yoda, plagiarism, and academic dishonesty, while also reducing human interaction, leading to social isolation and weakened interpersonal skills. And so you can kind of get the sense of the remainder of the study. They go over kind of several other studies, so this is almost a meta-analysis of other studies. Although it's not really called a meta-analysis, usually they would just call it a meta-analysis, but it kind of is because they just take a whole bunch of other studies done across the board on other university students, young students in high school or grade school, whatever. And they take a look at the long-term consequences on learning, the ability to, have or the ability to interact with other humans, their dependency, etc., etc. And so they say AI should not replace human educators, but instead instead be positioned as a supportive tool to enhance rather than diminish the student-teacher bond. AI tools do facilitate individualized learning, but it comes at the cost of a reduced social engagement. AI dependency may hinder the exchange of ideas, negatively affecting knowledge sharing and critical discussions among students. It reduces student engagement in collaborative projects. Lower achieving students tend to over-rely, leading to diminished peer interaction. The cough pandemic increased emotional and psychological dependency on such technologies. Do we really want to play into that hand even more? Okay, now the next study. Erosion of critical academic skills due to AI dependency among tertiary students. This chapter investigates the perceived erosion of critical academic skills among 745 university students due to dependency on AI tools. This survey measured 6 key constructs: AI dependency, cognitive offloading, motivational decline, academic skills erosion, academic integrity awareness, and external pressures using a 5-point Likert scale. Path analysis was employed to examine the interrelationships among these constructs. The results revealed a strong positive relationship between AI dependency and both cognitive offload and motivational decline, which indicated that the increased reliance on AI leads to reduced cognitive engagement and diminished academic motivation. Additionally, cognitive offloading and motivational decline were positively associated with academic skill erosion, which means that students who offload cognitive tasks and experience MD being motivational decline, are more likely to exhibit deteriorating academic skills. While AIA is academic integrity awareness, has a weak relationship with AID, which is AI dependency, EP, which is external pressures, showed a moderate positive association and highlighted the role of academic stress in driving AI reliance. Now, one could ask the question, why would academic skills erode, and why would people feel depressed or less satisfied with their academic achievements? And it actually goes into this very, very specifically. Automating complex academic tasks can reduce the need for critical thinking and problem solving, which can make students overly dependent on AI-generated solutions. So far, we understand this. What this does, though, is it enables task completion with minimal cognitive effort. And what that means, let me see if I can find it down here. Yes, okay, can lead to disengagement. It leads to disengagement. Why does it lead to disengagement? Particularly when students or anybody bypass essential cognitive processes that are vital for skill acquisition, it then means that you feel less satisfied about the workload that you took to get the output. In other words, the friction and the effort that you put into your work, and thus the grade, the A, B, or C grade that you get, has a direct correlation to your ability to understand that you put in good work. And when you remove that work from the student and they can just go to an AI to answer something, where's the engagement? They lose it. So when they get that A grade, they implicitly know, I didn't put any effort into this. I didn't have to. I didn't need to. I didn't even learn anything in this class. The AI just did it for me. Why would I care? Which then means that you absolutely circumvent the entire process of learning, of trying, of failing, of talking to other fellow human beings, of putting in effort yourself, coming up with creative solutions, applying your own kind of background and kind of like, your own individual spin to an essay, perhaps, things like this. You remove all of that, and then you become depressed by the outcome of your academic credentials. even if the AI gives you good outputs that a teacher doesn't check and gives you good grades for. It just basically enshittifies the entire academic process, and students don't know how to deal with that. Now, short term, the study does admit that short term, if a student is having a frustration with a difficult project, so right here, motivation to deal with that subject can be enhanced because it can help kind of get a person through a speed bump or a blocker in their brain. But at what cost? At what cost? This is why people don't like games that are too easy. Travis? Exactly right. Imagine that you could play a game and that you could just push a button and turn on God mode. Or you could even just push a button and it would basically just make the game more or less like you couldn't die in the game. There's no fun in that. People like video games that are just the right amount of challenge. Just the right. And in some cases, that means an extreme amount of challenge. And in some cases, that means a little bit of challenge. But almost nobody likes a game that has no challenge at all. None. What would be the point of that game? And so this is the problem, is that you completely circumvent the entire process of a student's ability to be able to, employ academic processes, thinking processes, cognitive processes. And if it happens to students, especially university students, do you or do you not think that it happens to humans?